me introduce these ladies. This is Betsy Poole, and she lives at the Federation of Damanhur, which is in Italy, which is an amazing place. I'm going to let her tell you about it. And this is Shama Viola, who also lives there. She's one of the ambassadors who travels around the world, and she's visited us 5 times in Independence, Virginia. And we love her very much, and I'm going to give you the mic, Betsy.
So I'm a storyteller as well. And in 2009, I lived in Los Angeles in a big house with all of the trappings of the upper middle class affluence. And my family and I, my daughter who's been 7 and my husband and I, carte blanche left that life and moved all the way across the world to live in the Federation of Damanhur. And in the Federation of Damanhur, I found the most extraordinary story that I've ever seen on the planet. And I've lived and worked all over the world. We are a community of practical dreamers. We're a community of more than 600 people who are aligned in a dream. And that's a dream to see humanity reawaken to its true potential. There's a huge story around why we're not awake. Part of our objective is to be able to tell that story in a way that we all recall who and what we are. Shama is actually my godmother in Damanhur. Each of us as initiates choose a godmother or a godfather. So this woman has been a huge inspiration to me, and she really trailblazed a path for. She's Italian, but she's awfully American as well. So she sort of blazed the way for us to arrive in Damanhur and have probably an easier journey than you did when you arrived. But
hearing Barbara talk, of course, and the wheel of co-creation, when I look at those 12 slices of the pie, I see Damanhur. Yeah. And it's fantastic that there will be a society, a civilization, we call ourselves a people, that actually works on all those levels and fulfills all of them as best as we can, but with great commitment. It's just we say, why stop at our community when you can create a civilization? And so we are trying that. We consider ourselves a people. We feel that in the world so many people are disappearing, languages are disappearing, corporations are taking over, and all these little groups are disappearing. And we are choosing instead to rise and be a people with our own tradition, even our own language, because we have a sacred language that we use like Sanskrit. We have our own story. We have our own everything, medical, school, everything around the wheel. We put into place to create a new civilization and a new society. So it's very exciting to see the alignment of the vision and the realization of the vision. One of the things that is exciting about Damanhur is that it took just a handful of people to create that. It didn't, there was no government, there was nobody from outside, nobody that financed it. It was completely self-sourced, and people just committed to it. They rolled up their sleeves. They built a temple underground, digging at night after they worked all day. It was a dream, and they worked for it. It was just ordinary, down-to-earth people, and they did it. So if we did it, everybody else can do it. And so we want to be an inspiration, an example that shows we can do it. Regular people can rise to their best and create new civilization, create the dream.
I think just to add a word to that, when I was talking to Laura today, and she's building the Peace Pentagon, after I did my vice presidential campaign, I didn't know where to live because it was too big a jump. And the answer was, you need to live in the alternative to Camp David. Now, Camp David is where the old leaders go, and the old consciousness to solve the old problems in Washington, D.C. They can't solve them. So I was to live in Camp Eve. And Camp Eve is a place where the new leaders come, who are already solving things, come to love each other, connect, create a wheel of co-creation, and never have to leave that wheel, and leave wherever they go. So that I was saying to Laura, there's no reason not to create that here. To create a place, because you need hubs to do this. It can't be done just in general, because probably everyone in this audience would like to participate in such a thing, but you can't just do it all by yourself. So hubs need to form.
That is really the crux of the matter to me, and I think
Exactly, yeah.
that we cannot do it alone, and it's only together we can create miracles. And Damanhur is a miracle because we did it together.
Yeah. Collectivity is actually a prime area of expression for humanity. You can get a group of people to agree on all of the ideals. It's easy to agree on ideals, but then try to live with people. Living with people is the quickest way for spiritual growth. Because it's really easy to have a big idea about how we change the world. And then you buy yogurt and you put it in the refrigerator with the expectation of having it for breakfast the next morning. I live with 20 adults and 3 teenagers. If I put yogurt in the refrigerator tonight and I'm hungry in the morning, guess what? It's not going to be there. And my reaction to that, looking at myself and saying, okay, how do I feel about that? And understanding that there's a difference between being angry and offended that someone took my yogurt and having enough love and compassion to be okay that someone else was hungry this morning and ate my yogurt. So it really is easy to agree on ideals, but our day-to-day habits are the hardest things to change. And that's where we're going to start to change the world. It's great to have big ideas, but we have to look at our everyday habits and be willing to change. All of us.
Our founder used to say that the community was the quickest way to get enlightened. Why? Because he was saying, just like the stones in the river rub into each other until they become all round and they lose all their corners, the same is with community. You live, close to each other, and you keep on rubbing each other until you just let go of all the things. Yes. So it was a beautiful example, just like stones in the river, rolling and rolling and rolling until you're round, and you have lost all the, the poking stuff.
Well, I think that, in order to think of the next 5 years for humanity,
Yes,
in general, which is going to be one generation suffering from a set of problems that nobody on this earth has yet solved. So we don't have elders of this particular one generation situation. So if we can make the call that this is possible, then we have localized wheels of co-creation, of which Damanhur can be an example for everybody. And then we can, but there's no reason why we can't create local wheels, and why those wheels cannot connect, and why that internet is not there. So I just want to say, to notice we've been given everything we need to do this. And no existing structure can do it for us. So this means leadership at the very highest level.
yes.
And I want to point out, we are doing this. I don't think that you can go to a Global Eco Village Network conference and not walk away completely convinced that we're already doing it. We're doing it, though, in isolated points on the planet right now. Exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Not that we're not doing, but we're not connected. That's the step. That's the step. I totally agree with what you're saying. And so I'd just like to raise a question of what is the calling, like that we've had Martin Luther King and we've had Gandhi and Nelson Mandela, but what about us? Like, I feel called to this. So I've dedicated the rest of my life. I'm 85, so it's not too much. But whatever it is, I've dedicated it to make this call and to work with anyone who is ready to co-create with us a set of experiences that can shift consciousness through using what's already happening, created. That's why we can do it. Maybe that's why we've been given the crisis, is for humanity to mature.
There's not much to add.
Well, I think, you know what? We're supposed to be finished.